Hello, and welcome to the Sound Up Seattle podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Seattle and Washington sports. I'm your host, Tyler Cartwright, joined as always by my co-host,
Sean Carey.
And we are back, baby. It's been a minute since we have been in charge of our own podcast because one of us was either sick or out in the field or we were on a different podcast. We've had a lot going on the last month, but we are excited to talk about I think the last time we talked, it was the Mariners hadn't even won 5 of their 9 series wins, and now they've lost 2 back-to-back. So quite the turn of events. So we'll talk Mariners, we'll talk some Seahawks draft. We'll talk about that as well with the person that we did another podcast with during that segment as well. And then just a little news around the Seattle sports scene. Other than that, John, anything to say before we get started?
No, excited for it. I apologize for my moving background. I do have Warriors Timberwolves game 5 up, but it's playoffs, baby. We got to stay locked in.
We'll get to watch him put Draymond Green away, you know? All right, here is some Coyote Picnic. All right, John. So, do you want to start Seahawks? Do you want to start Mariners? We've got some other news stuff, but which one of those two is piquing your interest right now?
Yeah, we got to play a little catch up for our listeners. We should start. We got on this other podcast with another Seattle sports guy. It was a lot of fun. It was a big Hawks draft discussion, but got to bring that home a little bit. So why don't we get caught up here and then we can move on.
Yeah, so just so that everybody knows, his name's Joe Stevens. He's the host of Seahawks Talk on YouTube. Go ahead and check him out. He was very, very kind, allowing us to pop on the pod, so appreciated that from him. And we were excited to talk about that and excited to talk to you guys a little bit more on our pod about kind of the draft recap, what happened, what did we think, and we're just going to give you kind of overall letter grades for the draft. We're not going to get into too much detail. The link for that discussion is going to be in the bottom of either this YouTube or Spotify episode, wherever you're listening. You'll be able to find that. So, John, break it down for us. First round, obviously they took the offensive lineman, Gray Zabel. Second round, they took Emin Worry. I think those were the 2 most exciting picks in terms of what people wanted. And then the most exciting random surprise pick, obviously, Jalen Milroe in that 3rd round. So just walk me through kind of your thought process, and then we can get into a little bit more discussion on the draft as you were watching that come through.
Yeah, whenever I pay attention to an NFL draft, I always draw a completely arbitrary line of demarcation for players that I think are interesting enough to talk about and players I think aren't. This time I drew it in the middle of the 5th round following the Torrey Horton pick out of Colorado State. So sorry, Robbie Oots out of Alabama, but I'm only taking the top 6 guys in this draft as worthy of conversation. So yeah, that's Gray Zabel in the 1st, Manuari and then Elijah Arroyo in the 2nd, Milroe in the 3rd, and then Riley Mills in the 4th and Torrey Horton in the early 5th round. I thought this draft was really good, really exciting. We talked about it a bunch on the other pod, but to sum up my thoughts, I would probably give the Seahawks an A- for this draft. Can't give them enough credit for addressing the offensive line in the 1st round, something Seahawks fans have been begging for years, and the organization's finally taken their medicine and done something that's not super sexy but super important. And then they just got, I think the rest of the guys are just awesome trait dudes. They're just going to fit right in with that kind of Seattle culture that they've always had here at the Seahawks. We like big, we like fast, we like strong. Emanuari is obviously you're getting all the Cam Chancellor comparisons, but ultimately he's fast, he's long, he's athletic. Arroyo is an awesome tight end, big, fast, strong, athletic. Milroe is, just an absolute traits guy. Well, who knows if he can throw a football down the field, but he has everything else you could want. He's basically like getting Anthony Richardson, which hasn't worked out great for the Colts, but the Colts spent a 1st-round pick on that guy, so to get Milroe in the 3rd was exciting. I think Riley Mills is a great, defensive end out of Notre Dame. I think he'll help the defensive front, hopefully help them generate a little more pressure this year. And then Torrey Horton is a stud receiver that's been getting number 1 attention his entire career. Now he gets to slide into 2nd or 3rd on the Hawks. So super athletic, super long. Love to see it. Only issue is they drafted 3 guys with knee injuries in college, which is always a bit of a red flag. A minus, my grade.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of lightly tail yours, and I would give it probably a B plus. The main reason for that is I think they addressed a little bit of their need with the guard pick at Gray Zabel, and he might slot it at left tackle, or who knows where these guys will end up when it comes to the offensive line spots. But I really like the Emin Wari pick when it comes to how Mike McDonald's going to use him. You undersold Elijah Arroyo when we talked on the other pod. You were really high on him, and I've done did a little digging, and I think he's a really good pick in terms of getting him at the 50th overall pick. Like that's really good value for where we got him. And tight end is a position that I think the Seahawks have really been lacking over the course of the last few decades. At this point, it feels like they haven't never really had an impact tight end. So we'll see if we're able to use him well. But at the end of the day, we need a good tight end that can block for our hopeful running game that is going to develop this season. So we'll see how he works in that scheme. With Jalen Milroe, I think you're right on top of it there. He's just kind of like a traits guy. A lot of physical tools. We'll see about his mental development when it comes to reads and working through progressions, things like that. But I think baseline, he's talented enough to get there, and we'll see if he can make that next leap. And he's got time to do it. So no rush there. I like that pick in the 3rd round. Riley Mills, like you said, pretty good. Not too much to add to that one. And then Torrey Horton, I really like him too. Those guys, like you said, they're a little injury. They've recently had injuries, but at the same time, when you're taking flyers on more talented, more athletic guys who are dealing with injuries, you can kind of play the later draft pick game. I think if they were coming off a season where they didn't get injured, they probably would have been taken higher than they did. So we're kind of just taking those injuries into account when you make those draft picks and you say, hey, these guys, if they can make a full recovery, this is a steal. And so it's a B plus for me only because there's a little bit of downside when it comes to some injuries and just some overall concerns with some of the picks. But I think overall, just the Seahawks kind of shot for the moon where they could and made really solid, smart picks where they really needed to. So no real complaints. I think B plus is just like they didn't hit it out of the park. That's all I'm saying. No, I'm not upset about it.
Sure. There's not a single name in this draft where I'm like, this guy is a no doubt, Pro Bowl guy down the line. They all, I think there's tons of talent and tons of potential, but yeah, I do think that's the reason. Yeah, maybe B plus is more appropriate, but yeah, I think that's a great call on accounting for injuries with these picks. We weren't drafting any of these guys at the positions they would be if they were healthy. I mean, we talked about this on the other pod, but like Arroyo, this was a 3-headed tight end class with Warren and Lovestrand and Arroyo, and those 2 guys went in the 1st round, and Arroyo was late 2nd, and the reason for that is because of the knee injury. So I do like the we can't let this talent past this point thing. NFL players get hurt. They didn't get hurt in college. They're going to get hurt in the next couple of years. So I think that's a less big deal. B plus, A minus. We're in the zone.
Yeah. All right. Again, check out that previous pod we did with Seahawks Talk. Joe was a great guy. Great to hop on that pod, and we'll probably do some more episodes with him. So if you're liking our stuff, or if you found us through Joe, we were happy to have you. But yeah, check us all out, and the links will be in the description below. All right, John. Should we talk Mariners? Is there anything else you want to say before we move on from the Seahawks? I feel like there's going to be just more and more discussion as the season comes.
No, I'm ready. I'm glad Shadir fell, and I'm ready to go.
Oh, all right, yeah. We've been out of the draft discussion for a little bit now. It feels like it's been so long since we talked about it. We didn't really get a chance to. But anyways, Mariners. Obviously, they won 9 straight series, and then they proceeded to drop an entire series. They lost all their games to Toronto, and then they just today, as we're recording this on the 14th of May, dropped their series to the Yankees in a quite Yankees fashion, is what I'll say. In terms of they beat the heck out of the ball in the first game, beat us 11-5, and then we stole a low scoring one, and then they just bashed 3 straight home runs today to steal a victory over us. Not a ton that the Mariners could get going in terms of their offense with runners in scoring position and that kind of stuff. So tough series with the Yankees, tough series with the Blue Jays. And that is all on the tail end of a few injuries that we will likely talk about. But just give me your thoughts over the last couple of weeks as this season has gone along for the Mariners.
Yeah, I think We're going to talk about some injuries to the pitching, but I think the offense has been what has been propelling them up to this point. Their advanced statistics offensively are significantly higher than we would maybe expect. And I do think recently maybe we've seen those coming down a little bit. Without getting too into the nitty gritty, I'm just going to read off Mariners runs scored over the course of the last, 6 series. Runs scored. We got 4, 14, 7, 5, 9, 13, 2, 1, 6, 5, 6, 3, 3, 1, 5, 2, 2. So definitely a downward trend over the last 2 series against the Blue Jays and the Yankees. Their failure to get above 4 runs is kind of their line of demarcation between wins and losses. We would have beat the Yanks if we would have taken 2 or 3 if we would have scored 4 runs in our 1 win and 1 loss. But I just think the offense has been slowing. I do think that's a sign for concern that their offense has been better than expected, and as soon as it returns to normal, we lose 5 or 6. But the Jays and Yankees are also good teams, so I'm trying not to freak out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're still in first place in the AL West. There is a Rangers game going on right now, but nobody can, or I guess never mind. The A's are they're playing right now in the bottom of the first, so they'll be within a half game if they win that one. But still in a hold of first place, but there's a 1.5 game difference and could be a 1 game difference by the end of this podcast at this point. So not a lot of room for error when it comes to the Mariners in terms of the next little bit. You hit the nail on the head there with the offense. I think the regression from guys like Mastrobuoni, I can't even say Donovan Solano. That man did not ever progress. But just kind of guys that you would expect to regress back to what what the MLB has seen from them over the last half decade. That was bound to happen, right? We weren't going to get that kind of production from these guys. And we talk a lot about it when it comes to overexposure. We talk mainly about Dylan Moore about that because it always seems to happen to him at least once every year. And he's still doing well. He's hitting, 280s. But I think the rest of this team is really getting overexposed when it comes to guys like, I think Leo Rivas is another bad example, and Luke Raley's on the IL. Man, I guess, okay, Ben Williamson, that's kind of a guy who's been a little bit overexposed. Other than that, Rowdy Tellez has just been out on the field a little too much for my liking, stuff like that. But in general, this offense clicks when Julio is going, and Julio just hasn't been able to get it going. And they've been able to get by with the production of these other guys, but those guys don't have the slugging potential that Julio does. Those guys don't have the on-base, or base stealing potential that Julio does. And it's just when Julio can get going, it's awesome, and it really helps this team. And I really felt like he was creeping up a little bit recently, and for some reason he can't break that 235 mark. I feel like he's been just hovering right around 230 for the last month, and it's just slugging along, and I feel like Julio needs to pick it up if this team is really going to turn around, especially, and we can get into this now, especially with the way that the pitching staff has been mired with injuries. Logan Gilbert goes down. I don't think we've talked since Logan Gilbert went down. That is a crucial person to this roster that, basically our ace, our number 1 pitcher has gone down. George Kirby has not played yet. He hasn't pitched for the Mariners yet. Bryce Miller just today, I think, got announced that he got put on the 15-day IL for his shoulder or elbow inflammation. He's just had a lot of health concerns. Luis Castillo, I think overall Luis Castillo has been fine in terms of his health, but he has not been performing up to the level that we would have expected from a guy who came into this team a couple years ago as the ace pitcher. So all that being said, the pitching staff is really, really struggling besides Bryan Woo, and we really need some offense from Julio because Cal has kind of leveled out. He's still hitting well for average in terms of what Cal's been producing, things like that, but we just need more from the top end of this lineup that has been kind of throwing it together little by little over the course of this season. That was a long rant, but I just needed to let us marinate in the discussion of this Mariners offense and the turmoil that has happened with the pitching staff.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot to talk about. It's been 3 weeks since we recorded. The Mariners have had a winning record over that stretch, but it was very good, and then all of a sudden very bad. The pitching, which is this team's strength, is limping along. Our offense has somehow been great despite poor performances from our top players. So it's been a very confusing season as a Mariners fan. I don't think there's any doubt about that. going to the pitching first, I just wanted to note, Gilbert's on the 15-day IL, correct?
Yeah.
So just when we're talking about these
he
guys
should be
going,
back soon.
Yeah, when we're talking about him going down, that is a big deal. It's a big deal in the short term. We want them to be healthy, but these are nicks and bruises, not major injuries. So no reason to suspect Gilbert or Miller will have season defining injuries. I think it's just you'd prefer them healthy. You'd prefer them healthy. Castillo, to be honest, has been rock solid. I mean, you'd like him to be great, but he's just moving into a different point of his career. He's 32 years old. He's losing a little bit of fire on that fastball. He's got a 3.95 ERA, which isn't anything to write home about. But he's played in all his games. He's made it through 43 innings in 8 appearances. I have no complaints from Castillo. And then, the unsung hero of the season, pitching, has undoubtedly been Woo. He's been amazing. We're going to talk more about him, but he's leading the team in innings pitched, which I never would have guessed for Bryan Woo.
Well, imagine us saying that last year.
Yeah. He's second in ERA behind Logan, 2.84 right now, which is awesome. He's just been awesome. So a little more to say on that, but offensively it's been interesting. I agree about Ben Williamson being probably the one you'd point to being overexposed. And our top guys, what's so funny is in the month of May, and we're halfway into the month, Cal and Randy are both batting over 300. Like their numbers are creeping up, but it does feel slow. And when you look at the overall numbers at the top of our lineup, we're still missing, meat on the bone from Randy and Julio, and 240 is probably about where Cal will sit. But Randy and Julio, those numbers will get better over time. But Randy's been good in the short term. Julio needs to step it up. I think that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah, I will say I've liked what Randy's done recently. I think he's just been patient. He's just been a little bit more patient. He's got 46 strikeouts in the season, but he's also walked 27 times. His on-base percentage is 385 with a slugging of 414. He's getting close to that 800 OPS mark. It's like Randy has been doing exactly what Randy was signed to do. He doesn't necessarily hit for average. He hits for good. He's lightly a 3 true outcomes guy, where it's like, okay, he's hitting a lot of doubles, a lot of hitting for slugging, but he's also walking, striking out a little bit more. But overall, we expect that from Randy. Like that's what's going to come from him. One guy who's been a little surprising for me in a good way is J.P. Crawford. At the start of this season, he was batting 9th, and I think we kind of discounted it. We were like, hey, this is going to be a repeat of last year. And he's been really good. He really turned it on in the month of April, like late April and throughout the month of May. Up to 271 average, really, really low strikeout rates, 23 walks to 34 strikeouts. Solid on base, solid enough slugging. Like he's just a guy who's able to get on base, and he just creates a little bit of havoc on the base paths, which is just enough, especially when he was hitting in that 9 spot, that he really felt like a deterrent for those pitchers. To touch on Williamson, I think it may not even be overexposure. He's just a rookie. Like he's just getting adjusted to, and they'll adjust back. Rowdy, I think we are just kind of okay with where he is. He's just going to be a home run guy, hit 200 and just hit a home run once in a while, and we'll be okay with that as a fan base. But Mitch Garver, I think, is a guy who we could have as a flounder. You said this right before the pod. We were like, we could have him as a flounderer every single pod if we wanted to. Like Mitch Garver has not provided anything to this team since he's been here, besides maybe a little bit of veteran leadership. But it's like that guy hasn't done anything. And I guess with that, do you want to hop into floaters and flounderers? We can just go right into it.
Yeah, let's do it. One thing I wanted to say, because we were talking about Ben Williamson, the rookie, and overexposed, not overexposed, the terminology you want to use. We worry. We worry about our young lad. He's been very, very good for a rookie. He's batting 240. Yeah. He's been even better than that in the month of May. So things haven't been going sour on him or anything like that. But it's a lot for a 24-year-old. And I would hate to see him end up at, 180 at the end of the season and just, have his confidence shaken a little bit, because honestly, I think he's been really good. I see him as part of this team going forward, and I just don't want to shake him up too much,
Yeah. Yeah. And the way that the team is constructed, I think we will see eventually, as the trade deadline comes in July, we'll probably see some people who get acquired that can play that third first base position and just, give him a couple days off as needed, but also take over that first base role that's been basically the black hole of this team so far.
Yeah, Rowdy.
Rowdy and Donovan really, really picking up the pace there, aren't they?
We'll talk about Donovan.
Oh, but yeah, it's a little frustrating. And also the addition of Victor Robles when he comes back. There's pieces that will come that will help, but I want the Mariners to add a little bit more and just create a little bit of cushion for Ben Williamson to not have to actually be relied on as a productive hitter, because this guy, he should be hitting ninth on this team. He's been hitting ninth basically every day recently, and it's because he has to be there. But the fact that we had Miles Mastroboni leading off today and JP had a day off, and it felt awful. I don't know if you were watching that game during work, but that felt so bad to just watch that lineup flow. And one other guy who we haven't talked about yet, and we won't talk about in our Floaters and Flounderers, but Leody Taveras acquired last week. We haven't even talked about him yet, but acquired last week as a guy who we basically give the Victor Robles flyer to and say, hey, if you can produce, that's awesome. We'll sign you for the season, give you $4 million. But he's kind of, as of right now, not really produced much. He obviously had that hit in the game that his first game for the Mariners, but other than that, he really hasn't done much. So been tough for Leody, but he does bring defense, which the team needs in the outfield, and just a guy that can switch hit and provide some not power, just some base running as needed. So just wanted to mention his name because we haven't talked about him yet.
He's only appeared in 6 games this season. Big change for him, so I'm not judging anything he's done so far. Well, somebody to keep an eye on, and probably not the answer. I couldn't agree more. I think it's so worth noting we can't forget that Robles will be coming back at some point. Maybe both of our favorite Mariner coming into this year, certainly mine. So that'll be a huge return when he's able to come back, if he's able to return to form. But addressing first base would would ease such a clear point of stress for an offense that has, all things considered, been pretty good this year.
Yeah, We'll see. This next month will be very interesting. Yeah. Anyways, let's get into some Floaters and Flounderers, and I'm just going to start us off. I'm not going to ask John what he wants to do. I'm just going to go.
Thank God.
And I'm going to give you my Flounderer. Everybody on this Mariners team's Flounderer. We're just going to talk about him, and then we're going to jettison him out into space where he belongs with this Mariners team. And that is going to be Donovan Solano. The guy's 37 and is hitting 138 with a 305 OPS. That means that his slugging is sub 200. I don't even have his numbers pulled up right now. I just am looking at his overall stat page, just getting angry. Slugging 155, on base percentage of 150. The guy has 8 hits in 58 at bats. Not even to the 10 hit mark. Not even to the 10 hit mark yet, and we're over a quarter of the way through the season. He's not doing what we acquired him to do, which was be Donnie Barrels. And so with that, at this point in the season, and Jerry and Justin, the kind of front office group, they don't usually like to get rid of guys super early in the season, but they've done it. And this is a guy who I think they can do it too. I think Donovan Solano is the only reason he's still on this team is because Luke Raley is on the IL. Other than that, he would be gone if Luke Raley was still on this team and Ryan Bliss was still on this team. He would not be playing, and the opportunity would have already been given to Ben Williamson, even if those injuries hadn't happened. So he's just lucky. He's just lucky that there have been some injuries and there's been opportunity for him to play a little bit. But right now, it's looking like this guy should not be on this roster.
Yeah, insult to injuries in the 6th percentile in running speed. Also a slow fucker. So, there's not a lot going on for old Donnie boy. It's surprising. We joked a lot about him taking the Polanco curse so that Polanco could run. But often when hitters come to Seattle and struggle, they're more power guys. And it's okay, the wet air and the deep right field, it's, not shocking to see those numbers come down. But this guy's old Donnie contact. He's had 13 home runs total the last 2 seasons. So, we weren't expecting that from him. But for a guy that averaged 282 in 2023 and 286 in 2024, 138? Really? Less than half of what you would expect to have gotten from this guy, just in terms of average, let alone some of the fielding mistakes and just everything else. it's been a disaster, and I'm nervous about letting him go because I'm worried Polanco would then fall back into the cursed role. You know, if the witch isn't claiming Solano, will it circle back for our boy? But yeah, it's been horrible. 8 hits, 1 extra base hit. Yeah, we've been putting this one off, hoping that it would change, but he is looking fundamentally cooked.
I think the reason that he hasn't been, booted off this team yet is because we haven't talked about him. So I think it was just, it's time. The Mariners, after this pod, waiting. We're going to release it tonight or tomorrow morning, I guess, as we're recording this. And tomorrow they're going to say, hey, Donovan Solano's off the team. So they just needed us to do this, and then they wanted to time it well. So that's going to happen, I'm sure.
Don't wait for our morning call tomorrow to put this through, okay? I'm giving you permission now.
All right, it's all you, brother.
All right, well, coming off that fun note, I'll go to my floater. We already mentioned him, and he's just been magnificent. So I want to talk about Bryan Woo. It's kind of nice, normally we're small sample size for floating and floundering, but thanks to the 3-week absence, I get a look at the entirety of the month of May. And he's had 3 appearances against 3 elite teams: Rangers, Athletics, Yankees. I guess elite's a strong word. 3 good teams, certainly. And he's been really good. Other than, he had a tough outing against the Athletics, 5 earned runs and 6 innings pitched. But he allowed 0 runs to the Rangers, our biggest in-division rival, if not by record, certainly by expectation. And then 0 runs to the New York Yankees. 6.1 innings in both. Just brilliant outings. Yeah, his baseball savant is as red as it gets. He's 99th percentile in pitching run value, 99th percentile in fastball run value, 93rd percentile in walk rate. His fastball is nasty. I don't exactly know why, because it's only 95.6, and it's a super tight grouping. He knows exactly where he wants to put it.
It's what it is. It's his arm slot. The arm slot allows the ball to run. Those of you that aren't as keen on all the Mariners pods, yeah, he basically, his arm slot is low, and so when he releases it and the amount of run and RPMs that he gets, the ball looks like it's rising, and hitters want to swing. They basically swing underneath it because it doesn't drop what the eye would expect the ball to drop. Is basically what it is. Nice.
I love that. Thank you for the analysis, because it's been so effective, but I don't understand these things. So thank you. But the one I really want to talk about is his walk rate, 93rd percentile. He's been absolutely unbelievable at controlling at bats. They were throwing some statistics up yesterday. I was at the game yesterday, which we'll mention, but he was just getting on top of every single batter. There's so many 0-2 counts. He's just completely in control of it. And then even when he's in a tight spot, he's just got such great control over the ball. He just doesn't walk guys. And, obviously Gilbert's dealing with some injuries right now, but when we have him and Gilbert, and when Kirby comes back, just an absolutely 3-headed monster of just ball control experts. And I think that's really exciting. And yeah, there's a real argument that Woo has maybe been better than Gilbert this year, which is an insane thing to say. The amount he's been able to play, the amount we've relied on him, the volume of pitches he's been throwing, it's been everything we could hope for.
Yeah, look on Baseball Savant and just look at his game logs, those of you that are listening. Like, he has not thrown less than 6 innings in a start this season.
That's a great note.
Keep that in mind. He hasn't thrown less than 6 innings in a start this season. Yeah. Like, that is the baseline for a quality start. He's already got, I think, 6 or 7 quality starts on the year. But just the guy's been a workhorse for this team. You think about the fact that, yeah, Logan Gilbert's been out, George Kirby's been out, Bryce Miller's been out recently. It's like the bullpen has needed to really pick up the pace when it comes to Emerson Hancock starting, Luis F. Castillo starting. We're going to have a Jonathan Diaz start here pretty soon. It's just like the bullpen has really had to struggle through some games. And the fact that Bryan Woo has come out there every 5 days and pitched at least 6 innings is just life-saving for this team. And he's really taken on that role. And you think about it, the last couple of years, you and I were kind of not out on him, but we were like, Bryce Miller may or may not be better than Bryan Woo. I think we talked about that last year. And I've been a little bit higher on Woo probably, but I never thought he would be this, I think what he has done and has, last season, he was 9-3 with a 2.89 ERA. a .9 whip. It's like he's replicating that. He's 2.84, 4-1 right now. He's got 50 innings pitched, and he only threw 121 last year. It's like the guy's got a whip of .89. It's like everything is the same. He's just projected to pitch 200 innings instead of 120. It's like this guy could be the Cy Young winner this year, and if he continues to do this and his arm doesn't wear out, because cross my fingers, God willing, the guy's an ex-reliever. So we're just trying to make sure his arm is okay throughout the season. But it's like this guy this is like a special season from Bryan Woo so far. And if he can continue to do this and be this dominant, it's big.
Yeah.
One more note: the A's start where he did give up 5 runs in that A's start that you mentioned. And the reason that I think that the A's got those hits off of him is because he is so elite at locating the ball, like you're saying. He doesn't walk guys. He's good at throwing pitches or strikes on the edges of the plate. Younger teams that have guys that are just kind of there to swing and figure stuff out, they probably have more success because they're not looking for mistakes against a guy like Bryan Woo. Like they're just swinging the bat at anything that's close to the strike zone, and yeah, they'll make contact. That's just one of those is going to happen. But the Yankees are looking for mistakes. The Rangers are looking for mistakes. Those are older teams with guys who are like, oh, I can capitalize on this. And when you don't make mistakes, like Bryan Woo doesn't, they don't score. So it's really cool. It's really an awesome thing that Bryan Woo's got going on.
I love the idea that the way to play against him is to close your eyes and swing. That's great. Yeah, no, man, he's been amazing. Yeah, it's worth noting. He's gone at least 6 innings every time, but his pitch count's been staying fairly low. I know, I was sitting next to a guy that was pretty frustrated that he got pulled yesterday against the Yankees. It's like, oh, his pitch count's at 88. It's only been 6 innings. Why not let him keep going? It's like, man, this is found money with Bryan Woo. We've known how good he is, but his ability to stay healthy has been what's been in question. It's been a great start to the year, but let's not go assuming that he can do 100 pitches, every 4 days without any issues. So. I appreciate that, even though we've been playing him a lot of innings, that there's been a little bit of kid's gloves with his pitch count. I think that's appropriate with a guy like this.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, all right. Are we done just enjoying Bryan Woo's Baseball Savant page?
Woohoo, baby, woohoo.
All right. I'm going to take this opportunity to give my floater of the day. And this is a guy who I've mentioned already once, and I just think it's important that we talk about him and where he's at right now, because he is a guy who is currently floating but may end up floundering here pretty soon just because of a potential regression. But Leo Rivas, I think he got called up after the Luke Raley IL announcement, and he's just been really solid since then. He's played in 23 games, 15 for 45 total on the season, 333 average. His on-base percentage is 455, right? He's walked 10 times to his 11 strikeouts. It's like the guy his eye right now is kind of insane. And he's just been a really, really solid force. And somebody who some people might want more playing time from, but he's just like, we don't want to overexpose this man. Slugging 356, like he's doing great things. He's not a power guy. He's not going to hit a home run. But he's just able to get on base and extend innings. It's like the thing that the Mariners have kind of got from Victor Robles last year, but in a even more compact package in Leo Rivas at 5'8", 150. The man's an absolute menace. But we just really wanted to shout him out because we may not get another chance to. This guy is bound for regression. But as of right now, he's doing great.
Yeah, great shout out. He's been big for us in limited play. Small King, we love you dearly. His numbers have already started to drop. He was batting 367 in April. He's down to 267 in the month of May. But still, I'll take 267 from Leo Rivas any month that he'll give us that. So, gosh, with the way Solano's been playing, let's get more minutes. Should we drop him at first base?
Should we put Leo Rivas, our 5'8", 150-pound king, at first base?
Why not? Why not? I don't have anything positive to say about Solano, so I'd give him a shot.
All right, it's all you, brother.
Okay. Yeah, this is a guy, I hate to do this, and it's done with love and with respect, but I do think it's time to talk about the king of the early season, Jorge Polanco, and how he may be floundering just a little bit. Now, if anybody does have Savant open and they're looking at Jorge Polanco's page, do not slap me. I've never seen so much red in my life. If you covered up the name, you would think this is like...
This is Aaron Judge. This is just Aaron Judge.
Yeah, it's Aaron Judge with actually 10 home runs. He's got these number of home runs already, but it looks like Aaron Judge. His numbers are unbelievable. 99th percentile in expected batting average. I just love that. Still batting .324 on the year. So fantastic. Slugging .657. He was slugging .355 last year. So his power and his consistency have just been so crucial for this team. I love Jorge. I do. But in the month of April, he was batting .380. So far in May, he's batting .200. It's been some tough outings. We're relying on him a ton. He's already had 39 plate appearances. But yeah, only 7 hits so far. He does have 2 doubles and a home run, so he's still generating some power, which I love to see. But the consistency just hasn't been there in the same way that it was. Now, guy batting .200 in the month is nothing to lose our heads over, but considering he's been our offensive all-star, I do think it's worthy of note and another indicator of their recent slide that he's been dropping off pretty substantially.
Yeah, he's just had a rough little stretch, right? He's still hitting, like he's got 3 hits in his last 5 games, but that's just not at the level that he was hitting at when it comes to his month of April.
Yeah,
he's just coming a little bit back down to earth, and we'll see over the course of the rest of the month of May, the rest of the month of May. I would expect he's going to need to make just like a couple of adjustments. I'm hoping that it's not like an aggravated injury from last year kind of thing where he has to go on the IL to get back to form, because Jorge's been so good for this team. But just give him that cortisone shot and see what that arm can do, or whatever is working for him. See what that can do, because this guy has been the workhorse for the team on the offensive side of the ball besides Cal, and man, if this guy isn't going, this team is going to really struggle, because like you were saying, Jorge's basically been the entirety of our offense along with Cal, and if Julio is going to do what he's been doing and just not be as explosive of an offensive player, we really need it.
Yeah, and I think the reason we haven't seen the drop as dramatically is because Randy's been kind of rising into his place. Randy's batting almost 400 in the month of May, so he's been really helpful. But and it's not even, you can't even point to one thing, because to your point, yeah, he has not had a no-hit game 2 games in a row since all season. He has not had a 0-hit game twice in a row all year, including the month of May. But he had 6 multi-hit games in April. He's got 0 so far in May. So it just hasn't, he's still been doing his thing, but just not with the same amount of consistency within games. We love you, Jorge. This isn't anything against you. We're just, stay on track. The MVP is yours for the taking. Don't give it up now.
This is Floaters and Flounderers. This is like, we're on top of this shit. If you're struggling at all, we're going to call you out.
I hate to do it. I feel like I'm kicking my son out of my house. But yeah, he's been floundering a little bit. Don't look at 97th percentile batting run value or his 96th percentile square up percentage, his 93rd percent K percentage.
Don't look at any of his baseball savant page except for the game logs. Just look at what's happened over the last little bit. His last 100 plate appearances, those don't matter either. Like, just don't look at his baseball savant page.
And then don't look at April either. Just trust us on this.
Anyways, all right. Is there anything else you want to say about this Mariners team? We've been talking about him for basically 30 minutes now. Is there anything final you want to say before we do a little Seattle sports news segment?
Yeah, 2 quick notes. I apologize. Just things that kind of slipped over the course of our conversation. One, Bryce Miller's been really struggling. Obviously dealing with some injury stuff. Hopefully he can return to form with a little bit of rest. But it's been a bummer to see. His ERA on the year is 5.22, almost double what it was in 2024. I expect a lot better from him. His savant page is gross. His fastball hasn't been nearly what it was last year. So hoping he can get healthy, hoping he can get better, but he's been a mess. That's contributed to some issues with the pitching. And then the last thing is, they're currently first in the American League West. It's a narrow lead over these other teams, but one super positive thing, and if forget first in the West. If you could have just given me this, I would have taken it for this season. And they have a winning record against every single other team in the AL West. They are 4-3 against the Athletics. They are 2-1 against the Astros. They are, 5-1 against the Rangers, or 5-2 against the 4-2. No, 5-2 against the Rangers. Fuck. 5-1 against the Rangers.
You're killing it, man. You're doing the Lord's work.
I was really just trying to do what's 3-0 plus 2-1. It's 5-1. Goddammit. So they have a winning record against every single team in the AL West. I just think that's a very encouraging sign for holding on to and hopefully building on this division lead. Nobody in division is at their number.
Yeah, I will say something to note about in-division games, and this is. We'll see how this adjusts as we move along, but it's like a lot of these games are coming up against pitchers that we've seen before. These are pitchers that have been with their teams for a while, and the Mariners staff has just been a little hit or miss. Obviously, Bryan Woo's been great, but it's the more repeatedly you see these guys in terms of the pitching side of things, the more frequently runs will be scored. And so if there is an inverse progression of Mariners run scoring and run scoring against the Mariners by AL West teams, we will likely see some regression to those numbers. But I agree with what you're saying. It's great to note, and really with the way that Julio's been performing and the way that this pitching staff has been dealing with this, the fact that we had a cushion at all to lose 5 of 6 games and still be in first place in the American League West, which has been a very competitive division, all things considered, especially with the A's and the Rangers, just like everybody's kind of hovering around 500. We're very lucky to be where we are just in terms of like with the division here. So happy to see this. Excited for the pitching staff to return to kind of normalcy, and we will see where we can go from there.
Agreed.
All right. Moving off the Mariners, a couple quick notes. The Seattle Storm. The Seattle Storm start their season on Saturday, May 17th. And it's just going to be fun. Nika Mule is out for the season with an ACL tear. We kind of got excited about her a little bit this offseason, coming in and coming off a previous injury from last year. And she's out this year already as well. So tough for that. The Storm have had to kind of make some acquisitions and assemble the team in a different way than I think they were expecting to. But some good notes in terms of the Eurobasket League, tournament. Dominique Malonga and Gabby Williams, I think both are not playing. They'll be with the team and kind of ready to start the season, which is awesome and just good for them to get more acquainted with the organization. So just a lot of good things coming from the Storm front. Excited for that season to start and basketball to get underway in the Pacific Northwest. And then the Kraken, we all know how bad they were. John and I don't ever really want to talk about them when they're doing this poorly or did this poorly, but they did fire their head coach in Dan Bylsma, and they did get the 8th pick in the NHL draft. They were very, very close to getting that first pick, but they missed the lottery ball by, I think, 1 number. So tough to see, but the Kraken will be okay. We'll see what they end up getting with this pick and how their offseason comes to fruition. So anything to say about that, John?
Yeah, I'm excited for the Storm. Obviously, I have nothing to say about the Kraken, by the way. No, not a single word. Fare thee well, head coach, is all I have to say. But excited for the Storm. Obviously, season starts on Saturday, but it's the next game they play on Monday. I don't have it here. But they play the Dallas Wings, and that will be the battle of the number 1 and number 2 overall picks. We are both very excited for Dominique and what she can do early. Obviously, she's very young, so you have to try to, bring in expectations. But I think she's going to be a star. So it'd be nice if we won that first one. And who needs what's her name anyway? I can't even remember her. I wanted her to be on this team for so long, but she's out of my head now.
We're gonna see Dominique just slap that ball into the 3rd row, and it's just gonna put everything in our hearts at ease. It's gonna. It's going to be a crazy block in that first game against Dallas, and it's going to be great.
And then we'll rest easy.
Also, we didn't talk about the NBA draft at all, but it's kind of crazy with Dallas getting the first pick. The fact that both Dallas teams got the first pick. Like, what happened this year?
Yeah, it's called cheating, and it's
called rigging the system.
Time. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, there's always good reminders. I was also watching this Boston Celtics New York Knicks Game 6 in Boston, or Game 5 in Boston, and it was just unbelievable the way the Knicks were just getting hacked all game. Brunson got absolutely just like checked in the back one time without a call, and it's like, oh man, yeah, they want a Game 6 in New York. The NBA is trying to make that happen. And then, this team happens to give Luka to the biggest market in the NBA to help save ratings, and suddenly they get a generational draft pick with a 2% chance. So not surprised, just disappointed. I wouldn't gamble on it if I were you.
I don't know, man. If you can read the room, read what the NBA wants, and you can gamble away all your life savings and win it right back.
I'm so back. That's a great point. I'm about to start gambling way more. It's like, what would be good for the NBA if this happened? I'll just start doing that.
The NBA wants. Let me just give this to the listeners. The NBA wants an unstoppable force in the Indiana Pacers offense against an immovable object in the Oklahoma City Thunder defense in the NBA Finals right now. Ooh. So that's going to be the NBA Finals, and that's how it's going to play out. So put your money down right now. I'm just saying.
That'd be a fun series, man.
That'd be interesting.
Just two fast, lanky teams. I love it.
Yep. Oh, all right. Also, one quick note. The Sounders are cooking right now. They're playing LAFC as we speak, I believe. And I think they're 15 minutes in the game. I don't actually have the score pulled up, but the Storm have just been playing well. Or not Storm. Sounders have just been playing well. And hoping that can continue. John doesn't want to talk about them until they can get rid of this demon. So if they beat LAFC, we'll see.
No, man. They've exercised their demons. I'm ready to forgive. They've been great. 0-0 currently with LAFC, but great start to the year. I think they've won their last 4 with 1 draw mixed in there. So
they've been cooking.
They've been on a heater. In their last 2 matches, it's been really impressive. They've scored 2 wins. They've scored 7 goals, and it's been Albert Rusnak and Danny Masovsky have scored 5 of their 7 over the course of the last 2 matches. So pretty impressive from Seattle, and hopefully they can keep the offense going. 0-0 right now with LAFC. Tonight might be the night.
I believe. All right. Anything to say before I sign us off for the first time in weeks, a month, almost?
Man, it's like when you don't go to the gym for a month and go back in, I'm feeling sore. Vocal cords weren't ready for this.
My body wasn't ready to talk to you for 45 minutes. It's just, I'm so used to you in short text spurts right now.
I can see you're losing a little color right now. You're being pushed to your limits.
All right, well, for John Carey, I'm Tyler Cartwright, and this has been the Sound Up Seattle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode of Sound Up Seattle, please feel free to give us a follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. Check us out there. And again, I'm going to drop Joe's name, Joe's podcast, Seahawks Talk on YouTube. If you're gonna like what we do, you'll also like what he does, and we'll be over there a bunch as well over the course of the year. And so we'll stop by, and you'll see us over there, hearing us talk a little bit more Seahawks as the season comes, I'm sure. So check us out there and check him out. Got to drop him because he was so gracious to us. Yeah, we're on YouTube. You can look at our gorgeous faces, my super paleness from being sick for the last week. I'm sure, stunning out here. John's got that sun glow coming into his face.
Hiking season, baby. I'm turning brown.
But other than that, you can find Sound Up Seattle on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, all at Sound Up Seattle, all lowercase, all one word. You can find me, Tyler, at TyCart50, everywhere it's important. And you can find John
playing Skyrim because I have a problem.
The man's been, it's his yearly Skyrim game. So it's like, if those of you that have been listening to this podcast for 3 years, you'll know that this is a once a year thing. And now is the time.
For 4 months out of every year, I do nothing but play Skyrim. So it's only 1/3 of my year, so I'm just in it right now.
All right. I guess with all that being said, let's go Nerds, baby.
Go Storm. Let's go. Let's start quick.